A quiet tremor has been rippling through the set, and tonight it finally has a shape. From long days under hot lights to breaks stolen between takes, a different kind of drama has been unfolding around Ozan Akbaba and his co-star Sinem, Ünsal, one without a script, one nobody called action on. According to those who have been close enough to read the room but careful enough not to disturb it, Ozan has been wrestling with a private storm that gathered slowly and silently, the kind of feeling that creeps in through repetition, shared scenes, shared laughter, shared silences that last a beat too long. At first, almost no one noticed. Ozan has always carried himself with a steady calm, the kind of self-control expected from a lead who has survived the long haul of television, theater, and film. But then the small things added up. When Sinem stepped onto the stage, his posture would shift, nothing dramatic, just a change in breath, a softened gaze that he quickly redirected toward the floor or an invisible mark taped to it. He kept a courteous distance, never rude, never cold, yet unmistakably deliberate in leaving space. And still, even in that distance, you could see the quiet guardianship. He knew where she left her script, he noticed when a draft on set made her shiver and nudged the heater closer without a word. He ensured a spare umbrella lay waiting near the exit when clouds gathered. The gestures were simple, but consistent enough to become a pattern. Insiders say his feelings weren't a sudden spark. It wasn't impulsive. It was the slow burn of hours spent building a world together on camera, getting the cadences right, trading notes at a corner table during rehearsals, revisiting blocking until both could find the breath that made a scene land. In those late-night read-throughs, when the crew dwindled and the lights turned warm and forgiving, their conversations drifted beyond the page. Not personal confessions, not reckless declarations. Just a deepening. Art. Books. The strangeness of fame. The startling normalcy of buying groceries after playing someone else all day. Somewhere in those exchanges, Ozan began to recognize that what he felt was growing too heavy to carry casually. And so he did what he believed was the right thing, he pulled back. Not out of indifference, not out of coldness, but out of respect for the project and for the fragile balance that keeps a set in harmony. He trimmed his jokes, showed up precisely on his call time, focused on the scenes, and vanished the moment the director said cut. Those who know him well say it was a protective move, a way to guard his own vulnerability while keeping the professional atmosphere intact. It was a retreat in service of order, the quietest kind of boundary. Sinem, with her clear-eyed calm and unfussy kindness, felt the air change. She didn't push. She didn't corner him with questions or pry beneath the polite surface. She gave him room and met him there, with patience, with grace, with a steady hand when they shared a scene that asked for truth. Her restraint, say people who saw it, wasn't indifference either. It was respect of another kind, one that understands that some truths need time to find their voice, if they ever do at all. But restraint can be its own pressure. The more Ozan tried to contain what he felt, the more every little thing sharpened around him, the way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear when she concentrated, the way she listened with her whole face, the way she never raised her voice even when the day ran too long. He learned the rhythm of her presence without meaning to. That intimacy born out of attention, not confession, made his silence heavier to hold. One evening brought this tension into focus for everyone. It was a late shoot, the kind that starts with coffee and ends with adrenaline. The scene called for a close emotional connection, no dramatic kiss, no explosive fight, just the bare risk of two people letting their guard down. The director wanted a quiet tremble in the room, the kind that happens when two characters are close enough to hear each other's breath. When the camera rolled, Ozan stepped into the moment. And for a heartbeat, something tremored in him that had nothing to do with the script. His shoulders stiffened, the line came one beat too early, and his eyes darted away just as the frame needed them to stay. Anyone else might have missed it. The crew did not. They reset. They tried again. The second take steadied, then the third found its momentum. After the director called cut, the applause was soft and approving, the kind people give when a delicate scene lands on its feet. But when the lights softened and the marks were peeled up, a few close to the monitor admitted what they had suspected for weeks: the tension wasn't about the scene's difficulty. It was about the undercurrent in Ozan, a half-hidden ache that complicated the simplest movements. Through it all, he remained impeccably professional. He never missed a line, never brought chaos to the schedule, never allowed his private weight to tip the production off balance. If anything, the work sharpened. His performances deepened with a lived-in sincerity that the director quietly praised. He took more notes, arrived earlier, left earlier. It was a discipline he leaned on like a rail in a storm. As for Sinem, sources say she has stayed exactly as she is, supportive, attentive, without demanding explanations he isn't ready to give. If she guesses at the depth of what lingers in the silence between them, she carries that guess lightly. She offers kindness without insistence. She is the first to say great take and the first to step back when she senses he needs a moment alone. That combination of warmth and restraint has made everything feel more complicated, not less. There is a story that a few crew members now tell in a whisper. During a break, while the set was being turned over, Sinem found 2 cups of tea on the table by the monitors, one black, one gently sweetened, no owner in sight. Minutes later, Ozan walked past, glanced at the cups, then at her, and wordlessly slid the sweeter one an inch closer to her hand. He didn't stay. He didn't say a word. She smiled anyway, and for the rest of the hour, both cups remained warm. The corridors of a production carry rumors like air currents. People caught the subtleties, the way Ozan's voice softened when he asked if she'd eaten, the way he took a step back when she took a step forward, as if moving in a choreography only he knew. A few friends tried to shield him from the buzz, steering conversations away from speculation, offering sillier topics, louder laughter. It helped, but no one could unsee what had become obvious once noticed. In the evenings, when fatigue hung over everyone like a heavy coat, the rhythm repeated, a nod here, a half-smile there, the careful exchange of notes about a scene that demanded honesty neither of them was sure how to separate from their own. One night, after a particularly tricky rehearsal, Ozan took his script to a quiet stairwell. He read his lines not for memory, but for meaning, as if trying to figure out which part belonged to the character and which part kept leaking from himself. A colleague found him there and asked if he wanted to talk. He said he was fine. Then he looked down at the pages and said, almost to the paper, I don't want to break anything. He has said as much, in more guarded words, to those closest to him. He admires Sinem, respects her deeply, and refuses to let a private feeling disrupt what so many people are working hard to build. The set is a delicate ecosystem. A careless confession could become a headline by morning, and he is old enough in this business to know how quickly a whisper grows teeth. He would rather carry the weight himself than let it crush the work they've made together. Sinem's calm has become a kind of compass. She senses when to ask and when to leave quiet alone. Once, before a night scene, she scribbled a note on the margin of his script and slid it over, You okay? He tapped the page twice like a heartbeat and nodded. She didn't press. Later, when they were called to set, she walked beside him in silence and matched her breath to his. When the camera rolled, the scene unfolded with the kind of intimacy that can only come from trust. Crew who were there say they won't forget the late-night shoot that crystallized everything. The director wanted stillness, the sort of hush in which 2 people find the courage to say what matters. The air went thin. The city hummed outside. The lenses caught every shift in expression. Ozan started the scene steady, then something fragile broke open mid-sentence. He didn't flub a line. He didn't stutter. He just let a pause linger longer than written, his eyes resting on Sinem as if he were hearing the words for the first time. The director kept the camera running. When it ended, the room exhaled slowly, as if emerging from underwater. Afterward, Ozan stepped away, put a hand on a lighting stand, and breathed deep until his shoulders settled. Then he returned to the mark and asked for one more take, not because he hadn't delivered, but because he needed to prove to himself he could deliver again. He did. It was immaculate. The applause was barely there but real, a thread of gratitude passing through the room. If you ask anyone whether the production has suffered for this private drama, the answer would be no. If anything, their on-screen chemistry has become undeniable and electricity anchored by tenderness, not the cheap kind, but the kind forged by attention and restraint. The higher-ups are delighted. The scenes sing. The dailies look rich. And yet, off-camera, the choreography continues, careful proximity, polite distance, conversations that begin with the script and end with the weather. Those around them describe the emotional weight as steady and ongoing. Not a crisis. Not a resolution. Something in between, like the low hum of a refrigerator you only notice when the room falls quiet. It is always there now, part of the sonic landscape of the set. Friends of Ozan expect nothing reckless. He is not the man to sprint toward a cliff without checking the drop. He will shoulder this as long as he believes it's the right thing to do. Whether that means until the final episode wraps or until some future day when silence feels like a greater risk than truth, no one can say. For her part, Sinem seems content to let time choose the moment, if there is one. She has built a reputation on patience and precision, and she is not about to abandon either. In quiet corners, people speculate about what might happen when the project ends. Will there be a conversation on a breezy terrace after the wrap party, when the weight of the show has lifted and the night is kind? Will there be nothing at all, just a hug, a thank you, and a clean cut between what they created together and whatever comes next? There's a universe where both are true, a goodbye that is full of everything that never needed to be said. For now, the only certainty is that the story behind the scenes has become as captivating as any written line. The crew has learned to read the smallest of cues, how far apart their chairs sit, how quickly either of them leaves after a late wrap, the rare moments when they stand so close that the air seems to thrum. Even with their individual star power secure, their pairing has given rise to something newer, something that makes people lean in. Two leads whose careers continue to climb, and yet, together, they feel like the beginning of something not yet named. If you are looking for scandal, you won't find it here. There is no betrayal, no spectacle. There is only the stubborn tenderness of someone trying to do right by his work and by a woman he respects, and a woman who understands more than she lets on. The stakes are not fame or applause. The stakes are dignity, and the fragile current that powers good art. Whether Ozan will ever put words to what he's kept under his breath remains uncertain. It may be that the truest form of what exists between them has already lived and will keep living in the spaces carved by the work, the glances that say we're safe, the pauses that say I hear you, the choices that say I won't risk what we've built. It may be enough. It may not be. Life, like the best scripts, often leaves room for both endings. What's unmistakable is that Ozan Akbaba's quiet emotional battle has become the talk of the set, a rumor turned into a shared understanding, a hush that everyone respects even as it spreads. And strangely, beautifully, it has deepened the story they're telling together on screen. Their scenes feel like secrets kept with care. Their silences glow. The audience will never know the truth of what hovered between takes, but they will feel it. That is what people are saying now, with that knowing softness only crews allow themselves at the end of a long night, something real got caught in the net of pretend, and everyone is handling it like fine glass. So the days go on. Call times arrive. Makeup brushes whisper across skin. The clapboard snaps, and the world narrows to the space between two marks. Ozan stands where he must, Sinem meets him where the scene needs her, and somewhere just beyond the light's edge, a feeling steadies itself and waits. Maybe it will step forward one day. Maybe it will remain the quiet companion to a project that asked a little more heart than either of them planned to give. Either way, the work is solid, the set is steady, and the story that matters most, the one the audience came for, is better for the care they've taken with the one they never intended to tell. And until anything changes, this is where we leave them, two professionals moving through a delicate dance without music, bound by the discipline that made them stars and the gentleness that keeps the air between them kind. No fireworks. No confessions whispered into microphones. Just the long, disciplined practice of feeling something and choosing, day after day, to carry it with grace. On this set, under these lights, that is enough. For now, it must be.